Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of OpsCast, brought to you by marketingops.com, powered by all the Mopros out there. I'm your host, Michael Hartmann, flying, well, sort of solo. If you're watching this, if we've got this out on video, you will notice that I am not alone, but I am without my co-hosts. Mike and Naomi are off and we're able to make it. But today we are talking about community and specifically what it means in the marketing ops world, how it evolves, why it matters more than ever. So joining me for this all women panel, I tried to get Leslie to take over on this, but she wouldn't go for it. Are my four guests who bring a different and powerful perspective each. So starting with Leslie Greenwood, who's a community strategist, advisor, and founder of Chief Evangelist Consulting. She helped launch the marketingops.com chapter leader program and knows what it takes to turn participation into belonging. Alysha Khan is the director of client services at IntraSphere and founder of Alpaca Consulting and also the Chicago chapter lead for marketingops.com. She's seen firsthand how consistent local engagement builds professional momentum and deepens expertise. Also joining is Penny Hill, who recently joined the community as a member while in a career transition and brings a thoughtful perspective as a seasoned marketing executive, figuring out what's next and why community plays a role in that. And finally, but not least, is Ellie Cary, is a senior demand gen manager at Startree and chapter lead for Dallas in the marketingops.com community. She's been actively involved in the community and brings experience from both sides of the table, both as a learner and as a leader. So, ladies, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, thank you.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So why don't we start here? I did like a tiny little bit about each of you. Maybe we can go round robin on and do a little more of an intro and talk a little bit about how you first got connected to the marketingops.com community. And I'm going to direct here, just since I've got everybody, I'm going to go with my top left, which is Leslie. So Leslie, how about you first?
Yeah, I actually met Mike, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. Not as long as I met you ago, Michael Hartmann. We've known each other now for 5 to 6 years.
Is that right?
Community.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. And so I met Mike also through that community. And then as I transitioned out of being VP of Member Success at that role, Mike and I started talking. And when I was able to work with him, we engaged. And I think it's been 1.5 years now, working on community strategy as well as rolling out the global chapter program. And I think we're up to 15 to 18 chapters, including 2 overseas. No, 3. I'm sorry. We just onboarded Australia, New Zealand. So 3 international chapters. And it's been really exciting to see the growth of the chapter program.
It's incredible. That's crazy. Alysha, how about you next?
Yeah. So I am one of those people who has been lurking in the marketing ops community Slack for literally years and years at this point. I am probably the person who's like, they're like, you should maybe be more engaged. I get those messages every now and again. But I think in the past year, I've also sort of like, I've been in marketing ops for like 10 years, was in-house mostly, decided that I wanted to start working for myself, hang up my own hat. Now I'm working at IntraSphere a bit as well. And I wanted to be actually connected to other professionals in my space. And being a part of both the like Adobe Marketo community coming up in my career was so influential to who I am, how I learned, and all the career opportunities I got, that joining this community was like an absolute no-brainer, because I've already seen the impact that like one community has had on my career. And I'm so excited, especially in Chicago, to create those opportunities for other marketing ops folks.
Awesome. Ellie, you're next on my screen.
Yeah, so I think kind of a similar story to you, Alysha, where I was lurking in a marketing ops group, but platform based, and I really saw a lot of value. And then in recent years, I ended up going agency side, where I became platform agnostic. So we were supporting HubSpot, Marketo, a little bit of Pardot, and so what I really loved about the marketing ops community is it was very platform agnostic, but very strategic, where we kind of had this free for all where we could talk about different things, where it's not, you're limited to one platform and that's it. And I just really love the community. I love the vibe. I loved the content, and I've been ever since I've been here. So yeah, it's good to be here.
All right, Penny, bring it home.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm brand new to the marketing ops community, and I actually just recently transitioned out of my corporate role, and so one thing I'm looking to go out on my own with marketing ops strategy and execution work, and I actually met Ellie just a few months, I mean not even quite 2 months ago at a dinner. And that was really cool. And she was talking about what she was doing with marketing ops. And it was just neat to see how intentional she was with the Dallas Fort Worth community. And it just, I mean, especially going out on my own, I just wanted to be a part of it.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's start with Leslie. So Leslie was the instigator for this. She had a recent post like trying to get I think more women tied to your Wednesday Women initiative onto podcasts. So I was super like it just worked out really well for us to be able to bring you together. But what you talked a little bit about the local chapter program and where it's grown to, which I didn't even realize was that big. So like, what were some of what was the genesis of that or catalyst of that program? And like, or maybe were there things you were seeing, hearing, whatever that made you think that that was needed for the community?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think in general, we're all craving more in person. Online can take you so far, but when you meet someone in person, I mean, I'll just have to plug. It was at a Wednesday Women dinner that Ellie and Penny met. And I'm like, oh, see, look, I was doing good job for marketing ops during my event, helping you grow. I just, I know it, I feel it, I've seen it, both before and after COVID. I think it's even getting larger in the world of AI. The more bots we can talk to in a day, the more real humans we need to talk to offset the bots. And I just think that this is the in-person part is going to take off even more. And there is something about, I've been to Ellie's marketing ops events. I don't know a thing about marketing ops. I know about community. That's what I'm here for. But, there's a bond and, a level of, I don't know, interaction and value that you can get by being in person. And that glue in this case could be that, you love Marketo and you love Pardot and I know nothing, but we all live in Dallas. And so that's our connector piece, and we can connect on multiple levels. And so that having that local presence is super important, I think, as part of any community. So I usually try to recommend that for sure.
Yeah.
And I think just to jump in here and to toot Leslie's horn, one thing because I joined the chapter leader program maybe like about 6 months ago-ish, and her emphasis has always been on like, this doesn't have to be fancy. This doesn't have to be like a very complicated thing. I think there are definitely like other communities and like tech groups that are like, it has to be a very proper formal event with slides and everything. And like, yes, we did like Chicago. Yeah, Chicago had like a little slides event today, but our next one is literally just like, we're going to be at a coffee shop. Alysha will be at a coffee shop working. You should come sit with me if you would like to come sit with somebody and work together. And I think that is such a more relaxed and like chiller vibe. And so like the barrier to entry is so much easier and less like, it's like less stressful and like less anxiety inducing for folks.
Well, I think Leslie, your point is like I think I've heard variations of something like we are now more connected than ever, but we are not really connected, right? And I think that's what you're tapping into is that, which is interesting because I know Leslie that you would call yourself an introvert, right? So
100% I'm an introvert. I will go and do an event. I love a conference because it just hits all the ADD spots in my brain. But then I will be in pajamas for 2 straight days and not leave my bed afterwards.
Yeah.
But I still want that, that moment of community. And I want to have those deep conversations that you can have with someone that you can't have, that you may not make that relationship over Zoom with someone, unless it's in COVID and like we did, Michael. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. No. I think even the reason I bring it up is because I suspect there's a lot of people who are out there who think the same things about themselves and, would resist doing something like a meetup. And I think, I think there's, I get it, right? There's some fear associated with that and everything else. And will I say the wrong thing? But I think if you go out there, like, especially in these communities, I think people are really welcoming. Right? So I've seen lots of heads nodding for those who are just listening. So, um, well, why don't so Alysha, Ellie, like, let's start here. Alysha, you talked about being in the program or the leader of the local chapter up there in Chicago, and Ellie here in the Dallas area. Um, what have been some of the most interesting, surprising things from that experience over the, like, however long it's been, good, bad, or indifferent?
Yeah, Ellie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think what kind of to Leslie's point, people are craving live events. And it doesn't have to be this schnazzy event where you have all the bells and whistles. I mean, our last event, Domino's Pizza and homemade wine. We had like a full house, like, so, and
So
but it
mad I
was
missed that.
it's okay. I have my husband makes homemade wine, so I can hook you up later if you want. But yeah, I guess that's my plug. But yeah, so the people want to go to events, and I think it's really more about the topic. Like our last topic was AI focused, and so I think that people are excited to learn, people are excited to show up, and you don't have to have this fancy activity, but people are craving community, and they're craving conversations, real conversations, I think. And what I learned about Dallas is we have a lot of talent here, and I knew you do, but until you get into a room with a lot of different people and see the different perspectives, I just, like, our last session, I was so blown away about the talent, and that was great too. What about you?
I think
Alysha?
For me in Chicago, I think we haven't had a really good, like, the Marketo user group has died off a little bit. The HubSpot user group has died off a little bit. So I think bringing this in, there's been a lot of energy from, especially, I don't want to say like the older folks, not older folks, that's a terrible way to put it, but just like people who've been around are like, yes,
well seasoned.
Yes, well seasoned. That's such a better phrase. That, like, they're really excited that, we're kind of stepping up to fill in the void, because Chicago is definitely a pretty big city. And I think at Ellie's point, people are just like really excited to be able to get out somewhere. Like our first event, it was like a food hall downtown, and we literally just grabbed a corner. That was it. We're like, here, we have some balloons. We're going to be sitting in this particular corner. Just come find us. And that was it. And
that's because they had a birthday party for themselves.
We did have.
Let's just be real.
Yeah, that's true. For Michael, so I was born on May 21st. And Deb Monkman, who is my co-chapter lead, was also born on May 21st. Now, I did not know this I didn't know this. Like, Deb and I have worked together. We've met before. We like freelance together a little bit. Like, we go a little bit ways back. And when I first thought about like, I need a chapter lead, I was like, Deb would be really good at this. And then we went to schedule the first event is when we realized we have the same birthday. So we're like, this is like too fun a coincidence to like not do something about it.
I love it. That's awesome.
So yeah, and it was great. People like had a great time, and also, like, I think also to Ellie's point, like, they just want to do something, anything. Yeah. They just want a reason to get somewhere. And I think, but just like one interesting thought, especially for like Chicago as a community, and I think this probably applies to other ones, is like the where I think also becomes really important, because Chicago suburbs are pretty broad. Downtown's a whole separate beast. And like, I think one thing we're experimenting with is like, where do we hold things to like make sure we get to where people are? Because like, I live technically in the middle of nowhere kind of suburbs. Right. So our next event is like central suburbs. We'll see how that does. Our last event was downtown. That did decently well. We're figuring out October. So I think that's one thing I definitely want to play with our community, is to make sure that we're not just doing the same place so we see the same people again and again, that we're sort of rotating ourselves. That way everybody has a chance to, hit up an event of ours.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know that I actually said this directly to Leslie when I think she approached me about the local chapters. Like, I think I was probably skeptical, right, that it could work. So I'm actually super happy to have been wrong about that, because I think Dallas, it sounds like Chicago might be the same way, right? People are just spread out. It's not like there's one area where all the people are, even for work, right? Especially, and traffic is terrible and all that. So so what y'all are doing is incredible, because I am missing out. I missed out on a couple of the Dallas area events, and I'm glad I've been to a few, right? And I still want to try to get to as many as I can, but it's an investment, and it's a lot of work. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. So, okay. So Penny, you are new to the community, I think within probably the last month or two, maybe, but
last couple weeks.
Weeks.
Yeah.
All right. So what was the motivation? I know you talked about the career transition, but I mean, your last role, you were interim CMO and VP of marketing ops. Like you've been around, assume you have a pretty good network and connect, what was the driver for joining a community?
Yeah, I knew I needed people. Like I knew I needed people obviously going to step out on this new adventure. And, I am maybe at that age where I'm more seasoned, right? So I do have lots of experience, but the experience is mine. And I'm talking to these different companies and there's all these different problems, right? There's different tech stacks and just having a community of marketing operations professionals, that I can tap into to talk about, what are you doing? How do you look at this? And especially with how things are changing with AI so quickly, right? Yeah. Just to kind of to be able to keep up and know what other people are doing. And frankly, I do have a lot of peers in my network, right? But a lot of them are more on that senior leader executive level. And stepping into this, I will be in some places more of an executioner again. And so, to connect with people that are kind of nerdy like I am and just really love this stuff. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So career transitions is an obvious one for people who have community. It's Leslie, maybe you've got the strongest connection to this. Like, how do you think about why having a strong professional community matters in those moments?
Well, let me just jump on my soapbox per your invitation, Michael. It is not just during career transition. This should be, it's like your 529 plan that you set up for your baby when they're 6 months old to pay for their college. You should be working on your network always. And because what I see oftentimes is that people aren't like Penny, that are like, I'm going to go step out on my own. It's time for me to spread my wings and I'm ready to do this, that they are looking for their next job. The rug has been pulled out from under them. And whether that's of their doing, or the company's doing, it happens. It happens to all of us, and it will happen to all of us on this call multiple times in the next 10 years. If you are not what I say properly networked, it is going to be substantially and exponentially harder for you to get your next job. Because as AI brings, I talk to HR leaders, and as AI becomes more and more prevalent, blind applications, especially as you get more senior, do not work.
I can talk about that for sure.
And so you got to know somebody. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really have to know somebody, or know somebody that you have enough social capital with, who will go step out for you and say, you really should meet Alysha, or you really should meet Michael. He has an exceptional skill set, but what I can tell you is that he's just a good human. You know what I mean? Like, even if I can't talk to your marketing ops skill set, if I can go to someone that you've asked me to and say, you know what, he's just a really good human, and I don't give that compliment lightly, that's going to get you much further than just a resume that's going to get auto rejected from ATS. And Ellie, take it over.
Yeah.
Take from here.
Yeah, because I think, and this was the first time in my career where I had an extended gap. And, this is I joke, it's a cocaine bear of a market. Because it's just so insane. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that on a podcast, but here I am. So
it's all good. But, you can even curse if you want to.
But I think the hardest thing was, I applied to hundreds of jobs on LinkedIn. I used AI tools. I did all these things, and there was a shift where no one was responding to me. And the only place I had a lot of luck actually was the Slack communities. Everybody wants to help you in the Slack communities. Everyone wants to share job posts of like, hey, this is an opportunity. And also someone who is a little shy to go up and network in person. I had a lot more confidence just reaching out via Slack and saying, hey, I saw you posted this role. Would love to hear more, connect if you can. And I had a lot of interviews that way. And so I think, to your point, Leslie, community is really important, especially when you're looking for your next gig. because you really need that in-person touch. I feel like there's some type of statistic out there about, if you know someone and you make a referral, people trust it way more than reading a review or looking at a piece of paper like a resume online. So that's why community is so important.
And Ellie, I think my story is also pretty similar to that. I was looking for a new role back in August. And honestly, every interview I got, maybe one was from a random application. Every other one was a referral from somebody in my network. And that's what I tell anybody who talks to, who's like, Alysha, like, I need some resume help. I need job interview help. And I'm like, that'll get that. You like those, that they need to be good, but it's the people it's the people you meet. And I think getting in person is that extra step to like putting a face to a name. I still remember I went to Adobe Summit this year and there's multiple people that I met that I was like, oh, but you look a little different like than like I expected you to over like all the Zoom calls we've had. But the rapport was just also so much better when you're getting to meet people in person, and like that's the vibe that I love the most about, all of our in-person events that we have here. The other thing though that I wanted to mention about sort of like Leslie said something and it slipped out of my brain at the moment, but I think the other reason that the Slack community especially is so important in marketing ops is that a lot of us are like teams of one, teams of two, and like the ability to like send up a help signal or ask somebody else about like, I broke a thing, what do I do? Or like, this thing isn't working, what do I do?
Or just event.
Or just, yeah. Or just vent, like, my CMO has like clearly lost his mind. Like, what, like, help, please. Like, that is so, so helpful. And I think, especially as I was coming up in the marketing ops, industry, it helped me learn so much and also made me feel less alone when like I did dumb stuff and I like actually had a person to go to talk about it. And like multiple very helpful people, pushed me along and sort of gave me all the tips and tricks I needed.
Penny, it looked like you were going to add. I actually have a specific question for you that I'm going to throw at you with no warning after that. So, but did you have something to think of that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about, other than just kind of the referrals and just having people in your network when you're going through transition, for me, it's been support. Stepping out on your own, it's scary, and I had a moment last week, like I was, with in a kind of a webinar with a group of ladies in a community. And it was just really nice to get that support and get that kind of encouragement that you can do this. And guess what? It is scary. It's okay to be scared, right? And you still do hard things even when it's scared. I hear that from my peers. I hear that from people I'm close to, right? But in some ways, they're kind of supposed to tell you that because you're close to them. So it's just it's just nice to have that, just to have that ability to have that around us. I think as we're going through changes.
Yeah. All right, here's the curveball I'm going to throw at you because I was thinking about this. Like, so I think the perspective we were just all sharing is as someone seeking something through the network, right? A job, referrals, whatever. Curious if you, Penny, have used network to find people when you were hiring, or to like. I know I've personally not done so much like, hey, I'm going to be hiring somebody and use the network or the community for that, but I've definitely used the community to go like, kind of do a background check without being as direct about it. So the HR people are probably all like raising red flags right now.
So yeah, I mean, I'll say for sure, and I wasn't a part of the MOPS Pros community before, so I haven't directly used that, but I have used my community and my network when someone's brought to me, like to see, who they know, just to ask about how were they really to work with, because I mean, a resume is just so much, right? It's just a piece of paper. And it doesn't really tell us who the whole person is. And that's what we're looking for, because we want someone that's going to fit in with our teams and sync and in all of that. So yeah, for sure. I've always reached out to my community.
Yeah. I think that's the other part. So for those people who are out there, if you're a person who's hiring and you haven't done that, you probably should be. And if you are out there, that's like just reinforce the point, right? If you're out there searching, right, leverage your community to make connections is absolutely something to do.
Yeah.
I know. And Leslie,
can I give a quick tip?
Yeah,
I want to give a
quick
tip. So let's say you are going to be hiring a marketing ops person, or you have someone. If you're part of a community, go search their name in Slack. See what comments they've left. Like, people are well known in, if people are doing community right, you should be known for something, for me inside of Pavilion, if someone says, I want to build a community, 9 times out of 10, someone's going to tag me. And so if you were to go search, for someone or some topic, you're going to get a list of people who you might read through and see how you like their responses. Or you could, if you are looking at a certain candidate, how do they participate? What is their communication style? Do they offer to help others? Like, there's a lot of information you can get through community as well. So like whether you're hiring or job seeking, or in that case, I just want to learn on like how to make a sequence.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I can make a 1-step sequence that has an email. I don't think I'm doing that right. I think it's supposed to be a workflow, but I just call it a sequence because that's the only thing I know how to make. But I could go search that in MoPros and figure it out really simply.
Yeah. Well, I did that. I actually did that recently with somebody who's I happen to know sort of as part of the community, but not a heavy one. But I was trying to like learn a little more, try to accelerate learning about automation with AI, agentic stuff, whatever. And I was like, I saw this person had been posting a bunch of stuff, and I was like, hey, would you spend 45 minutes with me? It just kind of talk me through what you've learned, because it's obvious that you've been out there experimenting. And he's super gracious, shared everything, gave me what he learned. Like, this didn't work, that worked. Gave me some ideas on where to go, and it was super helpful to get that. One
I have
thing
a question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt one more time.
Go for it.
That person was a community person that you knew?
Yeah, and I knew him other ways too, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you think a random person would do that for you?
In the community?
No, not in the community. The answer is no.
No, I think it's much less likely, right? I mean, yeah, but I think if you were asking me if it would have been somebody else in the community, even if I didn't know them, I think that would have been better than a random outreach. Yeah,
exactly. It's your glue. Like, you're part of something together. They're more likely to give you their time, and not be like, oh, another person wants to pick my brain for free kind of thing, because they know that you've invested in the community.
Yeah. And I had done some of my own legwork, right? I do think this is an important piece, right? You can overdo it a little bit, right? Where you're out there soliciting free consulting advice from people, right? Which, by the way, will affect your reputation over time. That will leak out.
We know who the people are.
Yeah. So, Leslie, I have a question for you. This is maybe more of just a general networking thing, but I think it applies to community. I mean, one of the things I've heard, and I'm trying to be better at myself, is the idea of kind of on your weekly to-do list, right? Make a plan to reach out to 1, 2, 3 people in your network on a regular, like different people every time, just to not asking for anything, just to check in or whatever. Is that, you're nodding your head? What, like, you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. I mean, if you can put it in your schedule, I mean, it's fit. Literally, I will go through and I'll just be like, oh, someone told me you may be having a hard day. Like, hey, just, thinking about you today. I hope your day is better than the last time we talked. That's 30 seconds. I do that 3 times, once a week. I've spent a minute and a half. Those non-solicited, I don't want anything, I'm just checking on you, things are the things that like will connect you and keep you connected over time. I have a friend, he actually wrote a book, Paul Abdul, out of Toronto, a networking book. And he does what's called a free hello. He writes on his calendar, it's a calendar item called free hello. And he does it every week. And he just says hello to 3 to 5 people that he hasn't talked to in a while every week, just to continue the conversation, see what they've been up to, etc.
I saw something recently, I can't remember where it was, probably Instagram or something like that, where the other part of this, I think, is like, there's this, if you don't like, kind of going back to this, like, we're all connected virtually, but not really, right? So a lot of people feel like they're on their own. And I think there's something like doing that also is helpful for that person, right? Is like, there's this, there's somebody out there who's thinking about me, caring about me, which is, I think, really powerful. So if you're not doing that, so I'm trying to do that. I'm not very good about it, but I am trying to do it.
Put it on your calendar. Make it a calendar item.
No, I remember reading something about, I think it was called like Loose Ties and Strong Bonds, where it's, I think it's like the 100 people who know you more loosely are more likely to recommend you for something versus like, so it's better to have a lot of loose connections versus like 1 or 2 super tight connections. And I think Leslie's approach and your friend's approach probably like help build all those loose connections to sort of like support all the other career goals that you may have. I like offering coffee chats to anybody who follows me or connects. Like, hey, zero pressure. Just like if you want to chat about anything, or even just like your favorite Netflix show, like come hop on a Zoom with me. And it is, I will say, I mean, it is kind of intimidating because there's definitely days where I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Or like, I'm not ready to hop on a Zoom with a stranger. But I've had a lot of really great conversations that way. And I think Leslie earlier, like, I'm an introvert. I am too, but I think I like muster up all my energy. And then after that, I lay on the floor for a bit.
There's a secret to that coffee chat too, Alysha, that I can help you with. And I did not make this up. I got this from Leslie Vanetz.
Okay.
Is she has a separate HubSpot booking link or whatever your calendar of choice is.
Yeah.
And it's just called one-to-one coffee chat or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's only 15 minutes because you always have that extra 15 minutes to extend. But if the coffee chat stinks, you can get out of it at 15 minutes because you have a hard stop. And mine is only available every other Thursday for 2 hours. So that allows me to say yes a lot.
Oh,
I love that.
Because I hate saying no.
That.
I really do. Like, I'm a Midwesterner. Saying no is very hard.
Yeah.
So it allows me to say yes.
I'm a Midwesterner too. Unite.
Yeah. So I mean, it allows me to say yes, but in a limited capacity, in a way that I can work into my schedule. Because honestly, if I just said yes to every person that wanted to have a coffee chat with me, I would literally never do work. I would only be talking to people.
Yeah, so like I'm suddenly like, I only have one booking link. I need many more booking links now.
Oh, you need that booking link for sure. 15 minutes and you set up, it's like every other Thursday. So you know from 12 to 2 on Thursday, if you're booked, you can just like relax because it's a no prep session.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. In some ways I do enjoy them because I just kind of got to like show up and like see what the vibe is. But I think corralling it to a specific time and place, I really love this idea. So,
well, I love the idea of 15 minutes. I too, like, I just recently finally set up a booking link thing, and I didn't think of setting up a 15-minute one. So
I like that one.
I mean,
like speed dating, but not with
guess
coffee.
Guess what I'm doing after we're done with this?
Speed dating.
No, it's speed dating. Setting up the 15-minute booking link.
Oh, okay.
With limited availability.
No,
I don't get me in trouble. Like, I've been married for a long time. I don't need that.
But honestly though, to your point about the booking link, like if anybody's really serious about networking, a booking link is like the best investment you can make because it makes it so like, I hate doing that scheduling dance back and forth, and it's been so nice to just be able to send people something to be like, hey, love to chat with you, here's my link, let's find time. So even if you're like, I think some of us have it because we have like our own side gigs and whatnot, but even if you don't, like, just pay for a booking link.
There's some free ones. I'm using a free one. I got it from somebody else in the community in Dallas one too, like is Zcal, which has been great, and it's free and it does everything I need. And I don't need it to do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not trying to schedule across teams and all that kind of stuff. So
no. See, I use OneCal, which I love a lot because I can sync like a bajillion like Gmail calendars to it.
So I mean like other team members, like the whole like idea of like round robin assignment and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyway,
even free HubSpot has the booking link.
Yeah. So it's so easy. Like I did it all in like, I think I have now like 6 different ones. Part of them were for this, right? So as Leslie knows. Okay. So let's maybe, I think we've talked a lot about like some big things that it sounds like we've all gotten benefit out of communities. Is there anything like any big stories that any of you want to share? And if not, like I would love to get your perspective on, like in particular, like why community spaces are important for women.
Well,
she's got an opinion here.
I think that's a really important topic, but I do have a quick story because I think it's important to talk about the community, because along with kind of looking at people and seeing what they're saying, I also think the community is really great because it's kind of that stealth mode of seeing what companies are doing. I know in our community, I've seen a lot of conversations of like, hey, we're trying to do business with this company. What are you seeing? Is it working for you? And I think I've seen a lot of that. And actually, I feel like you can see a lot of industry shifts that way. I don't have to dive into that, but I know like I had a vendor that we were scoping out, and I saw a Slack thread about that specific vendor and how the sales process wasn't working, or like people weren't happy with the vendor. So that's kind of my sidebar, but women are important to talk about. But I also think that's kind of an important like plug that you really get to see behind the scenes what's going on through feedback in the community. And women are important in the community.
Yes.
Who wants to start?
I have very many opinions there. No, so my first job out of college was at a financial brokerage firm. And I was maybe the second woman working there. The first one was like this elderly woman who was like the secretary. And then there was like me, 20 something, and then all dudes. And I think that was the first time in my life where it was such a glaring example of like women need women friendly space, even not even women only spaces, just women friendly spaces. And having like the marketing ops community, I think, especially online, is fairly diverse, and it feels, feels like a weird way to put it, because it's not like people out there are threatening or anything, but there is, being a woman in the workplace is just a fundamentally different experience, right? Like, it is not, my male counterparts will never experience some of the things that I will, because there is a level of authority that is automatically given to them that women have to fight for, have to work for. And being able to have a place where I can go talk to other women about the stuff that's going on is been so helpful to my career. Like, I have one mentor who, she really talked me through how to assess a job for like work-life balance when I first became a mom. And then I told her, hey, I think my current job isn't the right fit for me. I'm looking for something else. And she's like, okay, but you have a kid. You need to really make sure your next job is the right fit. And like, here's how I, with all my experience, have helped assess roles. And her advice, like, invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And that's also, I think, in running the Chicago chapter, that's the same energy I want to bring of like, it's not just like your marketing ops problems. It is like your career problems, your like being a woman in the workplace problems. Like, this is a safe space for all those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. And to kind of just go into that a little more, I'll say, we were on a call earlier this week, and one of the things that was mentioned was men are hired for potential and women are hired for experience. Right. And I think a lot of that, it kind of, in some ways, and I've seen this hiring for executive level roles, it comes from how women tend to come to the table. We do not come to the table with the same level of confidence a lot of times that our male counterparts do. And if we do come to the table with confidence, we kind of belittle it. Like, we kind of, put kind of just, it's just, we downplay it, right? It's not really an accomplishment. And so one thing I see from these communities is just to help us recognize it, because we don't even know we're doing it a lot. Recognize it, overcome it, and then kind of support each other to combat it and advocate for ourselves. And I think we're seeing that happen now, right? As women are coming together. It gives us a safe place to kind of start doing that.
Of course, go ahead, Ellie.
I love being a hype queen in the corner. And I feel like, Leslie, we've been on calls or coffee chats and you just like hype me. And Penny, even like we had a coffee chat recently and we had like real talks about things that we're going through in our careers. And I think you're right. You're spot on about the confidence. And I think, again, the thing about this community is this isn't like I think it's a safe space, and it is a safe space. This community feels very safe. I think we've really protected. We're not here to sell people. We're here to help. And I think that's what's important about a community that's help first, sell second, or ever, right? And I think that creates a really safe environment. And especially for women, I think constantly feeling like I'm being sold to, or there's a catch, or I have to be something or do something. That's what I really love about the marketing ops community, because I feel that in here.
And there's definitely, I think, the marketing ops community is a pretty strong, like, no assholes policy for it.
For sure.
Which helps.
Yes.
Which helps a lot to just like, we're not going to tolerate this. This is not what this place is for. And like,
and I've seen that in action, and I was really excited. So that I think is really refreshing too, because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to see it, which is really important.
Yeah, I think I credit Mike for really establishing that and holding true to it without being an asshole the other way, right?
Yes.
So he gives people maybe too many chances in some cases. I've Leslie agrees.
He's so nice. He's too nice. I'd have fired a whole bunch of people in the community everywhere. But you know me, I'm a little bit more cutthroat. I will say that as a community consultant who has worked with numerous communities, you are probably the lowest ego community that I work with. There is a very low ego, and I think that's part of what makes it safe. And also levels the playing field a little bit, so that the women on this call feel safe in the community, because we're not having to pump ourselves up to go in and say, I've done X million dollars in revenue and worked at this fancy company and all this kind of stuff. So it does feel very low ego. And, of course, being a little bit biased, being the founder of a community for women, having that place. And then, like I think Ellie said on the no assholes policy, but like not just having people say it, but do it. Like, so last year at Mopspalooza was the first time I've ever seen a dedicated women's event put on by the conference organizer. So the Mops marketingops.com women's breakfast was the first time I'd ever been to a conference that had a women's event led by the conference. And Mike has been a huge, of course, we know each other. I work for him. He's been a huge supporter for us at Wednesday Women. We're kind of like community sponsors of each other because we just, we both get it. But I really appreciated that last year. You rarely see a space where that is just for women, built within the conference, that doesn't just happen on the side, that isn't put on by a vendor, that isn't an accident. Or it was put on with a lot of intention. And I was super impressed about that. And I'm not super impressed about
Can I ask a side detour question here?
Sure. Go for it.
What does a big ego community look like? If we are low ego.
Oh, I can give you an example. So I've been in a number of communities. I mean, that's how Leslie and I met, was through a community. That's not the one I'm going to talk about.
Because I don't participate in that conversation.
No. I know. And like that one, for other reasons, it was time for me to leave that one, right? But it was not because of ego. I actually still have connections from there that I think are really, really great, and I admire a lot of people there. But there was another one that, truth be told, I sort of snuck into. Like, somebody added me into this community, and I thought, I was not super active, but I was active enough where I thought I was adding value and things like that. But then all of a sudden, my access was completely revoked with no warning, and it turns out what was happening is they were cutting people who hadn't had the right kind of job titles.
Oh.
And so even in that one, up until that point, I wasn't super active for other reasons, right? I just didn't think a lot of the conversations were all that interesting. But where I thought was appropriate, I would add my thoughts and provide help, and got on calls with people and stuff like that. But the way it ended was, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? And it just, it was like, that to me was like now that one is run by, I'll generally call it corporate entities, right? I won't say who they are. So it's their choice, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, so I never had a VP title. I've had responsibilities that were like a VP, but like that. So it was like, okay, I let it go. But it was like, I had at least 2 or 3 other people who were part of the community, when I told them what happened, were like, what the fuck? Right. So by the way, Ellie, there's like, you can curse, like, so that's, to me, I don't know, Leslie, if you have other examples of like what a high ego or non-low ego one is like, but that to me is just the first thing that came to mind.
Well,
I know exactly who you're talking about. So you're trying to be slick, but we all know who you're talking about. Maybe everybody else doesn't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, I just think, I don't know. It's just how you show up. How are you able to show up? Can I show up as messy Leslie? Can I show up in my hoodie? And whether I have on a hoodie and whether I'm working outside or actually working in an office does not diminish the same expertise I had if I had on a dress, or I had on a suit, or I actually like put on makeup that day. You know what I mean? It's like being able to come as you are, to be your whole self and be recognized as your whole self. And I think that's what, Ellie and Penny were alluding to in their community conversation, that it went beyond. They didn't just talk about toggles in HubSpot or marketing ops strategy. They talked about something beyond the person behind the title, the person behind what they do in life. And that is really is the glue that will hold, a community together. And being able to make a space that is approachable is a real art. I will say, of the communities that I work with, a few have gotten there. Some have gotten there over rocky bumps. Some have been there and lost it. It is a very hard place to get to, and it's a very hard place to stay. Mm-hmm. And I think on the global level, with 10,000 people in a community, you'll never achieve that. But that's why these local groups are so important, because you can achieve that with 20 or 30 or 50 people or 100 people. And so I think that's why, like, the chapter program at Marketing Ops is so important. The women's breakfast at Mopspalooza is so important. And so that's just, sorry, I'm a little biased. I do actually, even though I know nothing about marketing ops, I really like you all. I'm trying to go to Mopspalooza, even though, again, I know nothing about what you talk about. I just want to come talk to all of you.
I just want to come give you a hug. Yeah, please come to Mopspalooza.
We'll see. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, some of this to me, it reminds me of why I think, like, coaches and mentors are so important, right? Because it's, or just, I think, I can't remember, it was Alysha, somebody talked about, right, the circle of 100 people, or the ones that are closest to you are actually the least likely to give you tell you the stuff you need to hear, right? Because they don't want, like, they are so close to you, they don't want to damage the relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think having, like, that's the beauty of having this kind of network, is that you've got people who you may become close over time, right? But it's a different level. And if it's, so, I mean, I think that's really powerful. And if people haven't had that experience, right? Or if they're lucky enough to have had a core set of people who are truly honest with them in their life, then they should consider themselves lucky. But I think a lot of people over time lose that, right? And it becomes family, if it's just family, right? And it's like certainly not going to get what you need to hear unless you just happen to have a really stellar family type of relationship, because that's also unusual. Anyway, off my soapbox now. But okay, so Leslie, people joining community like Penny and others, right? And they get in, they're like, oh, so, like, what do I do now? Like, I'm now a member. Like, what do you suggest? How do they start to get engaged?
Well, I would say every community that I work with has an intro channel. First thing you do is you go put an intro in. Because, I mean, I still, in a big community that I'm in, I read the intro channel at least once a week. I want to find out who's like me, who's doing things that are interesting. I connect with a lot of the new members. And so it's like 100% introduce yourself, 100% read up 20 intros, connect with a couple people, leave a couple comments. The biggest thing I always tell people is that no one can help you if they don't know who you are, which means if you're not giving away your knowledge for free and you're not participating when it's your time of need, whatever that need is, and whether that's just like, I need how do I unfix the mass email that I just sent, or whatever, no one's going to help you because they don't know who you are. So if you are not at least visible in some respect, you will never get the most out of your community experience.
What you put into it, you get out of it, is what you're saying.
Actually, what you put into it, I think I've gotten tenfold out.
Fair enough. But if you don't put anything in, the multiplier of 0 is 0.
The multiplier is still zero. Yeah, like value will never land in your lap on this. You have to put something in. People have to know who you are. You have to give away all your secrets. Guess what? They're not secrets. We all have them. And the thing is, once you give away your secret, people be like, oh, that's great, but I never want to do that. Can you do that for me?
Okay. So kind of in the same vein, Alysha, Ellie, like, what's something that along the way has helped you really feel like you're more connected? I mean, obviously you're local chapter leaders, but beyond that.
Actually, Ellie has a very important emergency phone call she has to take. So we're going to let her go.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry.
Alysha can take that call. Take that answer first.
All right.
Ellie, well, I will definitely see you around. Okay, in terms of things that help me just feel connected with folks in the community. Was that the question? Okay. I think it's kind of what Leslie was saying, is like saying hi to people, is reaching out to them of like, hey, I exist. And also, to her point, being really generous with your knowledge. Like, I am a loom fiend. I send looms to so many people. I do a lot of resume reviews. And it's that generosity, and also like finding a low lift level for you, right? Looms are easy for me, so I do looms. If you need to find like what is your level of easy and sort of lean into that, right? Because that way, to Leslie's point about like, I find this message and I do it for 30 seconds and that's it. That's like my commitment. It's easy for her. She knocks it out. I do looms because that's really easy for me to just like crack something open, hit the record button, talk, point, done, send them the link. Like, here you go. If you want to talk some more, here's my booking link. And also like, I feel like it sharpens my own ideas, right? The back and forth of seeing what people are up to. I get smarter along the way, and then that sort of helps me be smarter for other people.
So I'm curious, like the idea of Loom stuff. I've had a couple people do like video messages through LinkedIn or other things, and like I've always like, oh, I wonder how well those go, and like, would I really want to do that? Like, were you scared about doing that? Like, what would that be like?
Actually, I don't turn my camera on for those.
Ah.
I'm sharing my screen, right? I share my screen, and then I'm usually talking through whatever is on my screen, and my camera's off because usually I'm like in my jammies and I don't want to like put my face for a random stranger. But most of the time, most of the stuff we're talking about in the marketing ops community, you need a screen share. Like you need to like, or maybe
I see. Okay, so you're talking about like, oh, somebody had asked a question, so you're sending something like, here's what I would do.
Yeah, here's what I would have done. Let me like open up an instance that I have. I'll do a quick like show and tell, or like I have also literally just like opened up like a Google Doc and started typing in it as I'm talking through to like sketch an outline for somebody of like whatever it is. Because I'm the person that like, if I had a whiteboard, I'd be writing on the whiteboard all the time. So instead,
I'm looking at Leslie's background and see the whiteboard. And I'm very jealous.
Yes. So I like kind of use looms in a very similar way.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, I kind of, again, like, I think it's the reason I asked the fear question is I think someone alluded to this before, right? It can be scary to put yourself out there on some of these things. And like, I'm like, I get shit about this all the time because I'm like, I hate the word fearless because I like nobody's truly fearless, right? Like, if they are, they're just not very bright, right? They'll walk up to a bear and wonder why it mauled them later. Right? But like courage, I'm a real big fan of, right? So like doing something despite your fear is what I think is the better way of thinking about it because it tells you that you can overcome the fear, right? Fear can paralyze otherwise.
Yes. I remember reading somewhere about like the 30 seconds of courage rule where like you say screw it for 30 seconds and do the thing you're afraid of doing. And like, I think in marketing ops, maybe you need a little bit more, like, do you need like 5 minutes of courage? That's kind of it, right? Like we're not asking you to do this, to step out of your comfort zone day in, day out. We're just saying like, take 5 minutes, do something a little scary, and then you can go back to being whoever you are normally.
Yeah.
I just want to add one caveat here. I mean, obviously we are just talking about my like love language. I could do this all day. I love this kind of stuff. I don't like to go to areas like, or groups that I don't know anybody. So I do like to have one at least loose connection somewhere in the room. So like if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast and think, I could never do that. Like this is not, there are born networkers. Yes. Most of us have been made networkers.
Yeah.
We have practiced. It is an art. It is a skill. You can't read about it. You have to go to it. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Penny might have said she didn't really want to come to our dinner, but she came anyway.
Yep.
And so, you know what I mean? It's just like, don't think this is not the starting point. Wow. You don't start here. You start wherever you are. And then just slowly just do it. and start to talk more and connect more. And if you have a conversation with someone online or in person, follow it up with a LinkedIn DM, follow it up with a Slack DM. Like that's step 2.
Yeah.
And, you can do that. And so I don't want people to feel like this is overwhelming or that they couldn't do this just because we're all like, oh, super networkers, give me a community. I want to go all the time.
And also, bring a friend.
I'm so glad. Go ahead.
Sorry. The bring a friend thing is so crucial, especially for all our in-person events. I don't think I told you this, Leslie, but I literally scheduled our coffee session around a marketing ops, like one of my marketing ops friends' schedule. I was like, listen, I have to do an event. You tell me when you're free to come hang out with me somewhere at a coffee shop, and we're just going to invite other people to our hangout. And she's like, game, I'm done. Like, I'm in. And that's it. That's like literally
whatever works. Whatever works.
She will have a friend there. I will have a friend, and other people can come and join us.
Well, so what I was going to say, Leslie, I'm so glad you didn't use the term soft skills, right? Which I think a lot of these things are called soft skills. And I'm like, they're just skills, right? And just like any skill, some people are more naturally gifted than others, but everyone can become competent if they put some effort into it. And I think that's one thing that I've learned over the years that often puts people in that fearful place, right? Oh, I'm not good at that. I'm not whatever. So anyway, let's get one last question, and then we're going to probably wrap up here. And this for you, Penny, I think not only as a new member, but also as someone who's been in a senior role. Like, what do you like? I've seen mixed things from communities for senior level people. I alluded to the one I was in and got booted from, but I mean, I think I see mixed things from there. Like, what's your perspective on how communities are serving senior leaders as well?
I mean, I do think it's important to have spaces for senior leaders in communities. And, I don't know that that's necessarily all about title because, like you were saying, maybe you don't have a VP title, but you've done that role, right? You've had those responsibilities because there is a difference in what we're dealing with, whether if you're just kind of a practitioner, an executioner, or if you're running the strategy and you're trying to get buy-in and you're talking to the board. There's just a difference in what you're dealing with. So I think that's really important. And I also think it's good if communities can help facilitate, especially with being the age I am, mentorship. As I look, I mean, I know I didn't have the women leaders early in my career to help guide me, right? It was a different world back then. I was not taught like healthy boundaries. How do I manage all this? I mean, it was just different. And now, at this stage in my career, you really want to lean in to people starting out in their careers and help. I know at least I do. I have some, of my peers that do. And so some of the communities helping to facilitate some of that, I think is helpful as well.
Yeah, I think I've heard this multiple places where I think in particular it's in the context of like CEOs who very often feel like they have nobody to go to, right? Because they like the concern that their direct reports are going to be yes people, right? Are going to and I think it's hard to, if you've not been in that kind of role, it's hard to understand how that could possibly be the case, but it's definitely a thing that I've seen. This has been a great conversation. I'm so glad we could pull this together. Leslie, thank you for organizing it. Sorry, Ellie couldn't stay on. Penny, Ash, Alysha, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. Normally I would ask everyone to say where people could connect with you. I'm going to say probably the marketingops.com community, number one, and then LinkedIn. I heard that. So I'm going to guess those two. If there's anything else, we can share that with show notes or something later. But again, thank you so much for doing this. I know it was pulled together fairly quickly, which is like a huge shout out because that is not an easy thing to do to manage and juggle schedules like that. So appreciate it. So with that, thanks also to our listeners and supporters. If you have an idea for a guest or a topic, you want to be a guest, because we do take all comers, then reach out to Mike, Naomi, or me, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that and get things rolling. Until next time, bye everybody.